I think that it's an attitude that makes some people uncomfortable, not because it's wrong, but because I think it highlights something within themselves. To me, the only reason why someone would be mad about what Timothy said is if you don't have that level of self-belief and seeing it in someone else makes you uncomfortable. So you have to look at him and be like, oh, well, he's too cocky. He's too conceited. He thinks too highly of himself, like, he needs to be humble and settle down. One of the greats. He wants to be one of the greats. Well, he doesn't get to decide that. Like, the people that want to shrink his ambition or say that that is sort of unbecoming for whatever reason, the people that believe things like that are people that feel insecure in their own ambition.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drossbeck, who has pulled the camera closer to me. I feel like I just need to sit a little closer to you guys, get a little bit more intimate on the video side of things, and also now I can see the screen a little better, so I can see if my autofocus is being a little bitch. Hopefully. Maybe I still can't see it, and we just learned that I'm going fucking blind, but ultimately that would be a discovery I need to have. So here we are, getting a little up close and personal. How are we doing? How are we feeling? I am a little tan. Anyone notice that? I'm a little tan, a little sun-kissed, you might say, because I just got back from a trip to Mexico with my family. It was a lot of fun. And also, I love cruises. I love being on a fucking boat. I love being by the water, in the water, on the water, looking at the water, in close proximity to water. It's the Pisces in me. Happy Pisces season, by the way. We're here. Whoa, my birthday's in a week. Let's go. March 5th. Don't forget it. I love cruises, and I love cruises for several reasons. One of which, and this is not so often talked about, but when you go on a cruise and you exist on a floating hotel for a week with the same group of people, there develops a sense of social hierarchy and fame. You might not think this would happen, but it does. And it is my favorite part of cruises. My favorite part of cruises is finding out who the famous people on the boat are gonna be. In the week that you're on that ship, famous people will emerge. And I think there's levels to it, right? There's people who are like famous. Whole boat knows them. Like, they have achieved peak cruise fame. And I think there's also lower levels of fame that probably change from family to family depending on who you're talking to. We went on a cruise in like 2019 as a family probably. And there was someone on that boat who had achieved a level of fame that is previously unknown. Like, I've never seen someone be this vacation famous in my fucking life. His name was David, and he was everywhere. Like, the thing about cruises is that obviously they have this huge schedule baked into every single day. They've got, water aerobics in the morning, followed by a sexiest man competition and belly flop contest by the pool. They've got bingo. They've got a Wheel of Fortune game show at night, a Battle of the Sexes game show. They've got all of these, activities. And that's on top of the fact that there's like 100 bars on ship. They've got karaoke going on. They've got, a DJ doing stuff in the nightclub at night. Like, there's so much going on the ship at all times. And they often have video recaps of what went on the ship the day before on like the ship TV channel, which I'm sure very minimal people actually watch, but for whatever reason my family has often had the show just sort of up in our stateroom. So when we were on this trip in 2019, this guy named David was fucking everywhere. And everywhere he was slaying. He was slaying. He gave not a care in the world. He'd be up at karaoke, like fully doing a choreographed dance while singing. And then you'd see him and he's at the bar double fisting pina coladas. And then you see him at the belly flop competition and he's going literally like straight, spine up and down, perfect posture, world's best belly flop, straight into the pool. Like he was prolific. And even if you missed him, you didn't happen to go to the game show that night and see that he miraculously got picked out of the 400 people sitting in the audience, maybe you didn't make it to the game show that night. But then you turn on your TV the next morning and who the fuck is all over the recap but none other than David. We saw him everywhere. It was like every time I got in the elevator, he was coincidentally also getting in the elevator. I just felt like our souls were tied together. And also, he was famous among the whole ship. Everyone knew who the fuck he was, and they all loved him. It was crazy. And then we saw him in the airport. At that point, we were starting to get conspiratorial about it. All right? I'm like, I've seen this guy everywhere. I can't get away from him. Me and David, there's something going on here, you know? So that was an example of someone who had really nailed cruise fame. Now, on this most recent trip, there was a young boy, probably like 11 or 12 years old, that assumed the position of most famous among our family. He may have achieved fame on a grand scale in the same way that David did, but at the very least, he was quite famous to me. To me, he was the most famous person on that boat. I don't know what his name is, but we started calling him Sir Maxwell Declan Jr. the Third. We just started calling him that because we decided that that's what he looked like. That if we didn't know his name, but if we did know his name, we thought that that would be his name. You know, we were very plugged in to the Sir Maxwell Declan Jr. the Third energy, his aura, you know, it was transcendent. But we were up on deck 5 of the ship. Imagine a hallway that kind of looks like a street lined with a bunch of different bars and restaurants and shops. And we are standing at a one of those Coca-Cola freestyle machines, those like soda machines that can do every kind of soda imaginable. We were standing at one of those refilling our cups. And right next to the machine, there was a store that sells perfumes and alcohol and, you know, all that like duty-free type shit. Maxwell, the first time we ever laid eyes on him, was looking at some of the perfumes in the shop. Now, I didn't see this with my own 2 eyes, but I've heard this recounted to me on, many a time from my sister and her boyfriend. But I guess Sir Maxwell, in his pursuit of trying to decide what the best perfume would be for him as an 11-year-old, picked up one of the perfumes, put his finger on that fucking trigger, and sprayed that shit directly into his eyes. And I guess Morgan and her boyfriend saw this happen and just looked at each other and were like, oh my God, we need to go. We need to leave. You know, when you see something terrible like that and you're like, I need to remove myself right now. I got to get out of here because otherwise this kid's going to see me laugh in his face and it's going to be like I'm bullying and I cannot bully an 11-year-old child today. I can't. So I just need to fucking go. I need to get out of here. So that was our first encounter with him. But then we just started seeing him everywhere. See him in the hallways. See him in the elevator. I personally saw him sprinting as fast as he fucking could. Sprite overflowing in hand down the deck 10 hallway. Now that's where my room was. It was deeply unsettling to see him in that location. We saw him again up on the upper deck. My man was double fisting, pounding soft serve ice creams. And not only did he double fist, but he went back for seconds of a double fist and thirds of a double fist. He was doing truly prolific 11-year-old shit. Like when you're 11 years old and you go on a cruise vacation with your family and they've got a free soft serve ice cream machine that you can go back to and get, you know, just refills upon refills on. Because when you're on a cruise, everything's paid for already. So it's all just, it feels like it's free to you the whole time that you're there. So there's a soft serve machine by the pool, and my man was taking full advantage of that. He said, Mom and Dad aren't looking. I'm going to have 6 twist soft serve ice creams right fucking now. And then I'm going to vomit all over the dinner table. I'm not sure if that happened, but I'm sure that it's possible. That seems like the vibe of Sir Maxwell Declan. And then we were in the fucking dining room later that night, and Morgan and her boyfriend joined the table late, and they were looking for us, couldn't find us. But you know who they did find in that big ass dining room? None other than Sir Maxwell Declan. Like, the kid was just fucking everywhere. So I don't know what it is, but I just know that every time you're in a like enclosed vacation location like this, where you are gonna be around the same group of people over the course of a week, and you can't go anywhere, right? Because you're in the middle of the ocean. There is a sense of fame that starts to occur. These people that are just fucking everywhere. And again, some are more famous than others. Some really, they really tap into the vacation fame of it all. So Sir Maxwell wasn't quite a David, who was the most prolific I've ever seen. But, he was prolific to me. As an 11-year-old, he's probably the most famous 11-year-old that I know. I don't know how many 11-year-olds that I know, but he's definitely the most famous one. But anyways, it was a fun trip. Nice to hang out with my sister. Nice to see my family, spend time with my parents. This, of course, was a family vacation, but it was also sort of accidentally a couple's vacation because it was happening on Valentine's Day week. The first or second day of our trip was Valentine's Day, and everyone that I went with was a couple because my youngest brother, who was in college, didn't come on the trip, and my grandmother also didn't come on the trip. So it was me, my parents, my other brother and his girlfriend, and my sister and her boyfriend. So I knew what the vibes were going into it, and I just thought that I'd have, some good alone time, that I would probably get to spend more time with my parents because my siblings were going to be branching off with their partners, and I accepted before the trip started that this was going to look very different than family vacations of the past. What I didn't anticipate was other people pointing out the fact that I was a single person on a trip with several other couples. Like, to me, it wasn't that weird. On these trips and on a lot of the excursions we went on, they had photographers, designated photographers that came to take photos of you. And so they would go and they'd take a picture of my parents, and they'd take a picture of my brother and his girlfriend, my sister and her boyfriend. And then they'd get to me and they'd sort of be like, all right, do you want a solo shot, I guess? And they're like laughing while they suggest it. And my family is sort of laughing too. And I'm like, yeah, I do actually. Fucking get that angle right, get that lighting going, let's fucking go, I'll hit you with some poses. Like, I am not uncomfortable about that shit. I love having my picture taken. I love a solo shot. I wasn't weird about it at all. I was like, yeah, let's go. Holding up my wine glass and like, cheers, smiling, doing my cutie little thing. I'm like, I look good. I should have my photo taken. Why would it be weird for me to take a picture by myself? And this was said to me on more than one occasion over the course of the week, but they would take all of their pictures. They'd take my solo shot, which they were all weird about taking in the first place. And then they'd be like, that's okay. You can use these pictures on your dating profile. I'm not kidding. This was said to me more than once. And I giggle along. I'm not going to make a stink to some fucking stranger about it, but I think that comment is so stupid. Like, genuinely, I think it is so dumb. And also, I'm so glad to be free of whatever mindset that is, whatever thought process that is, where you see a single person with a group of couples and you have to project whatever it is that you would feel about that situation onto them, which people do with single people all the time, which is... I talked to my therapist about this morning because I was so rattled by it, to be honest with you. I was like, why is it that people always do that? They project how uncomfortable they would feel being the lone single person onto me who doesn't feel that way. And they talk about singlehood like it's something that needs to be fixed. And like, I really am so grateful to not feel the way that somebody like that must feel. To look at someone who is by themselves and is excited to take a few glamour shots, just me and only me. I have purple fucking hair. Do I look like I'm a bitch who doesn't want attention? Like, I love taking pictures. I will pose for you. I feel totally comfortable with it. I'm having a good time. And then to be like, oh, it's okay that you're taking pictures by yourself. You can use them on your dating profile. Like, even if there was a person here with me, I would still want a fucking solo shot. Like, I'm sorry. Even if I had a partner, I would want the solo shot standing at the front of the boat looking beautiful and gorgeous with my hair blowing in the wind. I don't need someone else here in order to have my moment. I don't need someone else attached to me in order to feel confident. I don't need that. And I don't need to put this on my dating profile. In fact, there isn't a dating profile. I'm not on dating apps because my singlehood isn't something that I'm trying to fix right now. That's none of anyone's business, right? And I understand that this is just how people talk. It's not deep. Nobody's trying to be rude. But that's kind of the problem to me in and of itself, that this is so normalized. It's such a normal way to speak to single people where you assume that they don't want to be single or that it's something that they should be desperately trying to change or rid themselves of. It's way too normalized to talk about singlehood like it's something that needs to be fixed. Whereas the reverse of that is generally seen as rude. Like if I started going up to all the people that I see in relationships that I don't envy and being like, oh my God, girl, you're so strong for putting up with that fucking loser. You are, hats off to you, girl. I could literally never live the way that you live with that loser ass man that you call your boyfriend. That would generally be considered rude, right? So why is it not rude when people look at single people like, oh, girl, you're so strong and brave for wanting to take a photo by yourself. You can use this on your dating profile. Don't worry, queen. Like, excuse me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to start whipping it back to you guys if you don't knock it off. Girl, you are so strong for staying with that man who doesn't do his own laundry. Oh, I don't know how you do it, queen. I could literally never. I would die if I were you. I literally wouldn't want to live, but I love it for you, queen. Like, that would be rude. I might think that, and you might think that about me. You might look at me and think that, you would rather die than be single. And I can have my own opinions on people who think like that, and I do. And you guys know that because this podcast is the extension of my brain. So you guys know that I have opinions about that. But point being, people are getting way too loosey-goose with how they talk to single people. It's pissing me off. And I think this trip was just a nice reminder to me that it's so awesome to be free of whatever pressure it is that makes people say those things. This aversion to singlehood, seeing it as something that needs to be fixed. I think it's awesome that I don't feel that way. What a relief that is. This is sort of random, but I'm wondering if this is all over anybody else's Instagram Reels page, but there is some radio show that people clip. They do a second date update. What are they called? It's called Jarrell. No, it's totally not it. Jarrell and Cindy in the morning. Gerbil and Brooke. Gerbil and Brooke? Oh, I'm close. It's not Gerbil. Brooke and Jubal. Okay. There we go. Brooke and Jubal. I was close. I was really close. Jarrell turned to Gerbil. It is Jubal. I was close. If I just combined them, I feel like we could have got somewhere. But they do this segment where it's a second date update. People go on a first date with someone and maybe they are getting ghosted, lack of response happening. They call into this radio show and they sort of get to the bottom of why this person is not going out with them again. Anyways, I'm convinced most of them are fake, but for whatever reason, they keep being pushed onto my Instagram Reels page. It's just audio from that radio show on top of videos of Subway Surfer and people cutting soap and whatever else that people do. I don't know what it is, but those videos suck me in like nothing else ever has, ever. And for the first few that I listened to, I was like, I could see this being real. But then I listened to a couple that I was like, there's actually no way that this is real because this shit is crazy. But I listened to one the other day that was this woman who didn't want to go on a second date with this guy that she had a great first date with because she looked him up on social media after their date and he was too single. And on the show, they were like, what do you mean he's too single? And she was like, I don't see any pictures of him with exes or like any women. And I heard through a friend of a friend that he hasn't dated in 4 months. And she was like, and that's a red flag because why are you single? That is really weird that you would just be comfortable being single. I swear to God, it's just the algorithm fucking with me, like sending me shit that they know is going to fire me up. But this woman was basically saying that him not dating in 4 months made him like undesirable to other people. It meant that he wasn't like a highly desired person, and that made him less attractive to her, which is like an insane thought process. And everyone on the show is laughing, and it's like we're all aware of how insane this whole thing is. Anyways, it was probably totally fake. Yeah, I thought it was funny, this exaggerated, personality of someone who has such an aversion to singlehood. They hate to see it in their potential partners. This guy's too single. Too single. Usually that would be a good thing in dating. No, he's too single. He hasn't had a girlfriend in 4 months. There's something wrong with him. Like, that's crazy. And it's an exaggeration, but that is genuinely the way some of you sound to me. You know what I mean? Like, this radio show, this is fake. That was made up, I think. There's no way that's real. It's just like, it's so outlandish that it has to be a bit for radio. But I think the character type still stands. And like, to me, that genuinely is how some of you bitches sound. I'm not kidding. It's not good. So I've recently been trying to explore some new movie theater locations for me here in New York because my go-to spot, the Alamo Drafthouse, obviously, is on strike right now. The New York locations specifically are unionized, and they are currently on strike protesting the way that Alamo Corporate treats their workers and the illegal layoffs that happened to 70 employees towards the beginning of February, I believe. So the second I saw the union was on strike and they're asking people not to go to the 2 New York locations in which they are unionized at, the Lower Manhattan and the downtown Brooklyn location, obviously I was on board immediately because those people, those workers, are the people that make the movie watching experience at Alamo so much better than other movie theaters. There's a reason why I don't go to AMC, why I don't go to Regal, why I haven't gone to other movie chains in New York. I go to Alamo for a reason, and it's because I love the culture and the people and the vibe of those theaters. And obviously I usually go to the downtown Brooklyn or the Lower Manhattan location. So the second I saw they were on strike, I canceled my season pass in support of the strikes, and I need to find a different place to watch movies while the strike is ongoing. So I've been testing out some other movie theaters to see what's going on. And I recently checked out Syndicated in Bushwick, which is right down the street from me. I don't know how I've never actually gone and checked out this theater before because it is right in my neighborhood. And it's small. It's like a restaurant and bar. So you walk in and it's like this big open area with a bar in the middle, sort of like an island bar. So you can sit all around it, and they have a bunch of tables and booths, and it's like a really cute little setup there. They've got 2 projectors. I guess they show they show The Bachelor, or they do RuPaul's Drag Race nights there as well. But they have this like bar and restaurant area, and then if you walk towards the back, they have one theater in the place. And because this is like a small neighborhood theater, they only show 1 to 2 movies a day. But lucky for me, this week they were showing the Oscar nominated shorts. So I was like, that's kind of perfect because I was going to go to Alamo to watch the Oscar nominated shorts. Obviously I'm not doing that anymore. So I went to Syndicated and I watched the documentary shorts, the live action shorts, and the animated shorts, and I had such a damn good time. I'm like, I can't believe that I've never gone to this theater before. Now, granted that like I see a lot of movies and I try to see like most of the new movies that come out into theaters that I'm interested in seeing, which is most of them. So there's like a few exceptions that I didn't try to go see in the last year, but most big releases that come out, I try to go see. And obviously this is a one screen theater that does 2 showings a day. They're not going to show the majority of the movies that I want to go see, but if they are showing a movie I want to see, low-key, I'm going there from now on. So I am having kind of a great time experimenting and testing out other movie theaters. I've never been to Nighthawk, so I still need to try out them. And then honestly, I might get an AMC pass for however long it takes for Alamo to obey the requests of the union. So the second that corporate listens to the demands of the union, I will be back in there. I will get my season pass again. But I wrote a little letter. I've written 2 letters to Alamo actually to express that, yeah, I wouldn't be renewing my season pass until those demands were met. And like, listen, I've been doing promo for Alamo. I literally have said so many good things about them. I talk about that movie theater all the fucking time. I go watch, anywhere between 4 and 10 movies a month at their theaters. And I buy food every time I'm there. Like, I am a loyal customer. I am a loyal fucking customer. And yeah, they lost me. And they will lose me until they meet the demands of the union. So if you are based in New York City and you go to the Alamo Draft House, I'm going to encourage you not to until the demands of the union are met. Do not cross the picket line. Go watch your movies literally anywhere else. And might I suggest trying out syndicated. It's kind of gorgy and cutie in there. Kind of a perfect date night spot because you'll just go get a drink at the bar beforehand. You'll watch a movie together, maybe get a little food during the movie because they do offer food at your seats. And then after the movie, you can come back out to the bar area, sit in one of those semicircle booths, get a little cuddly, talk a little bit, maybe a little smooch happens. Oh, it could be pretty perfect and awesome. Just saying. Speaking of movies, obviously the Oscars are coming up. They are this weekend. I feel like I've been talking about the Oscars for so long now, so it's going to be awesome to finally have my Oscars party, see who wins, enjoy myself. I'll record my reactions to all of the awards in real time, cut it together for you guys over on the Patreon if you're interested in all that stuff. But award season is in full swing. So many other award shows have been happening recently. The SAG Awards happened and Timothée Chalamet took home the award for Best Actor. Now, it is his speech, his acceptance speech, that has been getting a little bit of conversation this week, and I have some things to say. But basically, in Timothy's speech, he says something about being in pursuit of greatness and how he really wants to be seen as one of the greats, and that he is really in deep admiration of the greats within this industry, other actors that he sees as being one of the greats, but then also like other people in other lines of work that are the greats in whatever it is that they do, that he really just wants to be the best at what he does. And he cares a lot about, pursuing that and running towards it, and about honing in on his craft and perfecting it. And he says that this award is not, an indication that I've achieved that, but it's a nice little, a push, a motivator to continue doing what it is that I'm doing so that someday maybe I can be seen as one of, the great actors of this generation, which I loved. I thought it was a really honest thing to say. And I think I'm just someone who really appreciates passion in other people. I love passionate people. It is one of my favorite traits to see in others, but I think we see often, and usually we see it with women. And I do think that if a woman said that, it would be received way worse than how it is being received when Timmy said it, because I feel like most people loved what he said from what I saw, or at least how I was perceiving, like if people were receiving it positively or negatively. I think the majority of people really loved what he said. But you still had a lot of people that came out like, oh, he needed to be more humble, and getting sort of, they were off put by his confidence and his ambition. And they thought that it was sort of in poor taste and sort of conceited to say that you were in pursuit of greatness, or that you had a desire to be seen as one of the greats. And they thought that he needed to be more humble and, whatever. But in general, I think that kind of ambition and being so forthright in the fact that you want to be the best, you don't just want to be great, great to the point where you're receiving an award for it, but you want to have some kind of legacy that people will remember you as being truly someone who like redefined what it meant to be good at this specific thing. And I think that no matter who you are, making such like intense statements like that, I think a lot of people don't know what to do with that, or they feel uncomfortable witnessing that kind of vulnerability, because also it is genuinely quite vulnerable to say that and to be so public about it. Because I mean, at least if Timmy was a woman, I don't know if this would happen to a man. Maybe it would, but I think more likely this would happen to a woman. Like if a woman said what Timothée just did, the next time she's in a movie that tanks at the box office, people are going to reference that award ceremony and, bully her for shit about it. Being like, oh, you want to be one of the greats? Well, you were just in this like absolutely tank of a movie. You performed like shit here. The box office numbers did not reflect what, one of the greats should reflect. And it would be used against that person. And I wonder if it will in the future be used against Timmy. I feel like it's a really vulnerable thing to share with someone else, your like biggest dreams and passions and ambitions, because some people are off put by people with that kind of passion and drive, which I've never understood, because genuinely I find it to be one of the most attractive qualities in a person. I love when people love what they do. I love when people are passionate about something, even when it's something that I am not equally as passionate about. I mean, this is why I feel like I watch YouTube videos from people that I have nothing in common with, because I don't really need to have a lot in common with them. I love people who are passionate about something, who are really committed to, a way of living, or a craft, a job, whatever it is. Like I'm sure I've said this before, but I feel like I used to watch vegan YouTubers all the time, because not because I had any interest in becoming vegan myself, but just because I loved the passion and seeing people that were really passionate about, animal rights and what veganism does to help with the environment and obviously with animals and all of that. I love people who are really passionate and who are really dedicated to a cause. I am in deep admiration of those people. And I just feel like I've always been really drawn to these like very passionate, very ambitious, loud, confident, take up space kind of artists. Obviously, Lady Gaga is so like that. And Marry the Night is my favorite Lady Gaga song. It was my first tattoo. I have Marry the Night lyrics tattooed on my ribcage. It says, "I'm a warrior queen, live passionately tonight." And what that lyric meant to me at that time, and still now, Marry the Night is still my favorite Gaga song. But that whole song, that whole music video, because you've absolutely seen the Marry the Night music video, and if you haven't, you're missing out. But that whole music video was like the embodiment of Gaga going the distance for the thing that she loved, for her talent, for her career, for the music. Getting rejected, getting dropped by her record label, and then doing it all fucking over again. Being resilient, never giving up, like living, breathing, and dying for the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that lights you up inside, and not letting other people tell you no. Being a fighter for your dreams, for your passions, for what it is that you care about, for what it is that you value, and, for what you feel like your calling is. I felt like so deeply, I just resonated with Marry the Night from a young age, that like encouragement of passion, that encouragement of ambition, because so often women and young girls are not encouraged to be ambitious, are not encouraged to take up that much space, to be so forthright in the fact that they want to be successful or they want to be great, they want to be fantastic, because it's not humble enough, because we are supposed to be smaller and more palatable. And obviously it extends. I think this is sort of an aversion that we have as a society where people feel uncomfortable with other people's passion and other people's ambition. And there is this assertion that like being self-certain or being confident in yourself, like the line between confidence and cockiness is very thin to a lot of people. And really, I think that there are a lot of examples of really confident, passionate people who get labeled as cocky or conceited or sort of up themselves simply because they believe in themselves and they won't talk shit on themselves, because I do also feel like being self-deprecating is like very encouraged. And this was something that I thought about all the time in college because, listen, do you think that I'm someone who hasn't been told over and over again my whole life that I was cocky, that I was conceited? Of course I've been told that so many times in my life because I won't talk badly about myself and the things that I create. I can be critical of myself, but usually with reason. I won't ever be a hater towards me. I feel like I made a commitment to myself when I was a child to never be my own biggest fucking hater. You know, I feel like I've always backed myself. I've always believed in myself. I have always known what I wanted and known that I was capable of making it happen. I know what I'm good at, and I don't feel bad about acknowledging what I'm good at, and I don't think I should. But I think the times in my life where people have called me cocky, it was because I knew that I was good at something. It was because I was proud of something I did, and that made them uncomfortable for some reason. Because I was willing to back myself and say that I was deserving of some accolade that I got, or that I was in pursuit of an accolade, that I wanted to achieve this thing, that I wanted to be a full-time creator, that I had ambitions to do that. And obviously it doesn't end there. I continue to be extremely ambitious, extremely passionate about what it is that I do and all the dreams that I dream of for my future. There's so much that I want to accomplish in this life, and I don't feel that I've ever withheld my own self-belief in that way. And I think that it's the very thing that has allowed me to be successful as an adult. All of that to say, I loved Timothy's speech because I thought it was honest and it was vulnerable. And I love that kind of passion and self-belief. And I think that's that kind of attitude you have to have in order to be successful. But I think that it's an attitude that makes some people uncomfortable, not because it's wrong, but because I think it highlights something within themselves. To me, the only reason why someone would be mad about what Timothy said is if you don't have that level of self-belief and seeing it in someone else makes you uncomfortable. So you have to look at him and be like, oh, well, he's too cocky. He's too conceited. He thinks too highly of himself, you know, like he needs to be humble and settle down. One of the greats. He wants to be one of the greats. Well, he doesn't get to decide that, right? The greats didn't decide that they were the greats. You don't pursue that. You either are or you aren't. He needs to sit down. Like the people that want to shrink his ambition or say that that is sort of unbecoming for whatever reason, the people that believe things like that are people that feel insecure in their own ambition, that feel too ashamed or embarrassed to take up that kind of space. And so they project that same shame onto someone else. When in reality, I think it is so brave and honest and really fucking awesome that Timothy got up there and said something like that. And I think we should see more of it. I especially think we should see more women saying shit like that. Because the truth is like, for as much criticism as Timmy got for this, which again, I think that for the most part, it was well received. But you know that if a woman said that, she would have gotten 10 times more criticism than what Timothy is getting. And it's because people are uncomfortable with ambition and people are uncomfortable with that kind of self-certainty, and people oftentimes don't want other people to know that they are great. You know, you want this image of a person who is so talented and just doesn't know it. And you're going to shower them in compliments. But the second you have someone who is great and knows they're great, suddenly you're like, oh my God, fuck this person. They are so up themselves just because they're not full of self-doubt and insecurity. And like, I thought this a lot in college when I noticed how common it was to be self-deprecating, because I think there's a time and place for self-deprecating humor, right? Like, we can have a little hee-hee and ha-ha at our own expense. That's fine. But I think some people use self-deprecation as like really a crutch. And at what point does it become you are your own biggest hater? You are your own biggest bully. And to be honest with you, I find it really exhausting to be around people who are extremely self-deprecating. I like hanging out with people who give themselves credit, who pat themselves on the back, who do great things and will acknowledge the fact that they do great things. And listen, it's a journey, right? It's a part of confidence building to even get to a place where you're willing to do that. So don't feel bad if you're not in that place, but just know that you're deserving of getting to that place. I think that's awesome. I think we should all feel that way. I think Timothée Chalamet just gave us all a masterclass in how to talk about yourself, right? How awesome would it be if everyone talked about themselves the way that he just talked about himself? I love it. I love it. I really think that everyone deserves to feel that way. And yeah, I do think that we've gotten too comfortable being too self-deprecating, because I think that is what often makes other people more comfortable. But I think that we should be pushing out of that and backing ourselves more often. This is what Miss Lady Gaga taught me, okay? Again, when you're raised by a woman like that, when you're raised by a woman who takes up so much goddamn space and is so unapologetic in her pursuit of her dreams and her passions and the things that light her up inside, how can you not take a page out of her book? You know, like, you just have to. You just fucking gotta. But I almost feel like in recent years, this like pressure to downplay your ambitions has become more intense. I don't know if it's just a getting older thing, and so I'm noticing it more as I'm getting older, or if it genuinely has become more rampant in recent years. But yeah, I've definitely felt a pressure to downplay my accomplishments. I don't listen to it, but I felt it. And I've been called cocky many times in my life. Many times have I been called cocky for believing in myself. Problem is I never believed them, so it really didn't have much of an impact on me. And also going back to the idea of like, now that Timothée has shared this kind of ambition with people, if and when he's a part of a movie that bombs, people are going to go back to this speech and cite it and be like, oh, one of the greats now, eh? Like, I also think that it's so lame when people see the path towards success, the path towards being great, as being one that is like a straight shot all the way up. Because people who are great at what they do are not people who are just born with this God-given talent that makes them perfect, that they've never had to experience any kind of like, I don't know, learning and strife with. Like, the people who are great at what they do are people who are resilient, who won't take no for an answer, who have succeeded and have also failed, have fallen on their ass and over again got back up again. The people who are great at what they do are just people who have gone the distance with it, who have not given up on themselves. So yeah, Timothée probably will be in a movie at some point that performs like shit or is not his best performance. It doesn't matter. And it wouldn't take away from the fact that he is a damn good actor now, and that he wants to be great in the future, and that he will be great in the future. Because I really believe that when people have that kind of ambition and drive and passion, you won't give up on yourself. You are relentless in your pursuit of the things that you want. I believe you'll achieve it. So if he says that he wants to be seen as one of the greats, and he's committing himself to, you know, honing his craft and getting really fucking good at it, I believe that he will then. I'm all about it. I fucking love it. But you know that when you say shit like that, because it is vulnerable, right? When you're sharing something vulnerable, you know that people are going to really latch onto it and be like, well, now I'm watching. And the next time you do something that is not fantastic, I'm going to take you back to this moment. When really it's like, yeah, you gotta flop. Sometimes you literally have to flop. We've all flopped. Sometimes a flop is necessary, right? Anyone that believes that like success is linear and it's like a straight shot to the top, and once you're up and you never go down again, I'm like, I just think that you probably haven't achieved much in your life. Because when the fuck is that ever how anything has happened? So let this just be a reminder to take up space, to be ambitious, to be passionate, to be loud, and be confident in what it is that you bring to the table, because you deserve to be. And this notion that we can't acknowledge our ambition and our talent and our commitment to the things that we, are inspired by, that light us up inside, to think that we can't acknowledge those things without being seen as cocky and conceited and not humble is just silly. So be loud and be passionate and take up space, because I think you're a breath of fucking fresh air. And thank you, Timothée Chalamet, for bringing this conversation to the head here, because I love it. I thought his speech was great, and I wish nothing but good things for that boy. Shout out to Timothée Chalamet. All right, let's do a few audience submissions, just one or two here, before wrapping up today's episode and throwing it on over to the post show, which today I think I'm going to be talking about some reflections on going no contact, and why I think it's awesome, and that really going no contact is often the most compassionate choice that you can make. So if that sounds interesting to you, go head on over to the Patreon for the post show right after this episode. But for now, let's jump into some audience submissions. Hi, Maddie. Loved you way back. Love you now. Love you forever. I would really appreciate your help. It feels fickle, but after a year of dating a guy through 2023 to 2024, I discovered that he cheated on me with several other women and hid it from us all. I've largely, though not completely, come to terms with it and feel relatively healed as of right now. However, he has just moved to my city and we now live within 10 minutes of each other. He lives in the same apartment complex as my close friends and we attend the same university. It's unlikely I'll be seeing him much, but it's going to be pretty unavoidable regardless. I've been thinking about what I'd do if we cross paths, and I don't know what the right move is here. Maybe I'm being immature, but I don't really feel ready to extend friendliness towards him, though I certainly don't want to be rude either. I could ignore him, but that feels immature and doesn't sit well either. This is a very silly and seemingly unsolvable issue, but I'd love your advice. First of all, that man was disrespectful as hell to you. Did not for once consider your feelings or what the right thing to do was. So I don't know why the fuck we're doing it for him. You're sitting here going around in circles like, what's the best thing to do? I don't want to be rude. I don't want to ignore him, considering his feelings, which is a really wonderful trait and also kind of one that he's undeserving of right now. He cheated on you with multiple other women, lied to all of you. That is disrespectful as hell. He doesn't deserve access to any part of you. I wouldn't even consider being friendly towards him. You don't need people like that in and around your life, right? I get that you might run into him because he lives in a similar apartment complex to your friends. You attend the same university. However, if I were you, I would ignore him. If I were you, I would pretend like that motherfucker did not exist. He is dead to me, okay? You might still live in this town, go to this school, hang out with similar people, but to me, in my opinion, you are dead, right? Like, I don't fucking know you, bitch. You disrespected me to such a deep level that I don't want anything to do with you now. And I think sometimes as women, we feel guilty setting such harsh boundaries with people. We feel like, oh, well, ignoring them would be so rude. It's not. Ignoring him is probably actually the kinder thing to do, right? Because what we feel deep down might be that we want to, in our heart of hearts, we might want to look him in his face and say, fuck you, go to hell, you're a fucking loser. In our heart of hearts, we might think this guy is just the fucking worst, but we're still so worried about hurting his feelings. I mean, oh, but it's so rude if I ignore him and treat him like he doesn't exist. No, it's not. Because here's the thing. When you're that disrespectful, when you cheat on someone with multiple other women, lying to everyone, when you are that big of a fucking loser asshole, I don't have to be nice to you anymore. I don't have to respect you. I don't have to acknowledge you. I don't have to give you the time of day. I don't have to do fucking anything for you. Okay? I don't need to be nice. I'm not going to be nice. You do not owe men niceness, especially not ones that treated you like that. So if you want my 2 cents, I would ignore him because it's not worth your time and energy to fight him. And it's absolutely not worth your time and energy to be friendly towards him. So if I were you, I would act like he didn't exist at all. And that's that. And I don't think that's rude. I think that is the consequence of his action, right? If you wanted me to be all friendly and nice to you and, you know, hee and ha, oh my God, hey, what's up? How are you doing? When I pass by you in the halls, if you wanted us to be good, you shouldn't have cheated on me with several other women. You know, it's like that Sabrina Carpenter lyric. If you don't want to cry to my music, don't make me hate you prolifically. She ate with that, you know? Oh, I feel so bad that I wrote a song about this guy that cheated on me multiple times. Like, no, we're not going to feel bad about that. If you don't want to have songs written about you, don't be the fucking worst, you know? And I just feel like so often women are made to feel bad for our reactions rather than being like, actually, that's a totally fair reaction. If he's going to be butthurt about my reaction, maybe he shouldn't have fucked with me in the first place. Sorry, I'm not going to lay down like a doormat and just be like, oh, it's totally fine. Hey, hey, Will. Hey, Ben. What's up? Oh my God, how have you been? Go fuck yourself. Who are you? I'll make eye contact with you and immediately look away. It's the wind. The wind blew in a different direction. I think I saw a ghost, okay? I see straight through you. No acknowledgement. Because why should I? Why should I give someone the time of day that did not think longer than 10 seconds about my feelings? Why am I concerned about his feelings? It's going to be so rude if I ignore him? No. It was rude when he cheated on you with multiple other women. You ignoring him is simply the consequence for that action. I think we just got to get more comfortable with the deliverance this year. You know what I mean? We got to get more comfortable with delivering people the consequences that they ordered. If you want to be on good terms with me, don't cheat on me. You know what I mean? Don't be shocked that we're not on good terms afterwards and that I act like you don't exist. And don't feel bad about that. Protect your fucking peace, okay? He shouldn't exist past this point. Hey, Maddie, just had this tweet reposted on my Pinterest feed and needed to tell you about it. It says, can you imagine being a 7th grade girl and being able to see your crush's bedroom during Zoom math class? It was originally tweeted by @spoilers4tv in 2020 and immediately thought you'd love this. Sending love from Germany. This is so funny. Yeah, can you imagine? That would have been enough ammo for me to last through the entire school year and maybe the next school year. Like, that would have been such amazing daydream fuel. It's fucking bananas. No, I actually wouldn't be able to focus. I would be so fixated by whatever fucking poster he had on his wall and like psychoanalyzing it that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. The pattern of his bed sheets, like, I would think about it. I would be so, what the fuck did we learn in school that year? Like, that is I've never thought about that. And like, thank God I never had to do Zoom math class as you know, a horny 15-year-old. That would have been terrible. I would have learned nothing. Not that I literally ever learned anything in whatever math class we took at that age. I don't know. Yeah, I literally don't know. Like, clearly I didn't soak anything in. It didn't matter. Actually, regardless, because I have such a vivid imagination, I was able to conjure up, you know, a clear picture of what my crush's bedroom looked like without the Zoom call. And I was equally as distracted to the point where I do not remember the names of the math classes that I took when I was in high school. This is going to bother me, actually. Like, obviously, it's not algebra. Or was it? No, it was something crazier than that. But it wasn't like trig. Like, that's crazy. I definitely didn't take that. But what's another math class that I might have taken? Statistics. No, not that either. I don't know. I don't know, and I actually don't care. So I don't know why we're talking about this. But clearly, it didn't actually matter. I was just as distracted in high school. The thing is that like my daydreams in high school were diabolical. Like, oh my God, I can't even believe I'm about to admit this on the pod. But like when I was in high school, and this is horrifying, wholly horrifying, but this was the era of music videos, right? And when I was first starting to make content, you guys probably know, but I used to make music videos. That was my thing. And I always, in high school, my like fantasy, bear with me, don't judge me, but my fantasy at that time was that I would have a boyfriend who wanted to woo me for like Valentine's Day or for an anniversary, and he made a like music video compilation of a bunch of cute videos of us and like presented it to me in some dramatic way. Like if he made a video, oh my God, I've thought about this way too much, but if he made a video and like presented it in front of the whole school, in front of a large audience of people, like pulled it up on the fucking projector screen, and the beginning of the video, I've thought about this way too much. The beginning of the video is like a voiceover, and he's just like talking to himself, and there's like a photo of me that flashes. Honestly, that would still work on me. Kind of would be awesome. So funny though. And that is what I was daydreaming about when I was in high school. I'm like, we're going to have all these cute little videos together. Because I always had my video camera. And then he steals my hard drive and does this whole huge thing. He teaches himself how to edit in order to do this grand gesture to me in a language that I speak. Okay? Premiere Pro. Anyways, that's what I was doing. That's what I was daydreaming about when I was in high school. So I mean, the fuel that being able to get an inside glimpse of my crush's bedroom would have given me, you don't want to know the kind of distraction that I would have been able to do with that information. I was already so distracted. I didn't need any more. I wouldn't have learned a fucking thing if I had to do Zoom math class while looking at my crush's bedroom. Crazy. So sorry to everyone that had to go through that. Stronger than the troops, many have said. I'm going to throw it on over to the post show over on Patreon. We've got so much more to talk about, so much more to get into. So if you're interested in joining us over there, links to the Patreon are down in the description down below. And if not, I will see you guys in next week's episode. Goodbye.